فدنا الحسين نحو الكساء وقال: السلام عليك يا جدا، السلام عليك يا من اختاره الله، أتأذنني أن أكون معكما تحت الكساء؟ فقال: وعليك السلام يا ولدي ويا شافع أمتي، قد أذنت لك. فدخلا معهما تحت الكساء. فأقبل عند ذلك أبو الحسن علي بن أبي طالب وقال: السلام عليك يا بنت رسول الله. فقلت: وعليك السلام يا أبا الحسن ويا أمير المؤمنين. فقال: يا فاطمة إني أشم عندك رائحة طيبة كأنها رائحة أخي وابن عمي رسول الله. فقلت: نعم، ها هو مع ولديك تحت الكساء. فأقبل علي نحو الكساء وقال: السلام عليك يا رسول الله، أتأذنني أن أكون معكم تحت الكساء؟ فقال له: وعليك السلام يا أخي ويا وصي وخليفتي وصاحب لوائي، قد أذنت لك. فدخل علي تحت الكساء. ثم أتيت نحو الكساء وقلت: السلام عليك يا أبتاه يا رسول الله، أتأذنني أن أكون معكم تحت الكساء؟ فقال: وعليك السلام يا بنتي ويا بذعتي، قد أذنت لك. فدخلت تحت الكساء. فلما اكتملنا جميعا تحت الكساء، أخذ أبي رسول الله بطرفي الكساء وأومأ بيده اليمنى إلى السماء وقال: اللهم إن هؤلاء أهل بيتي وخاصتي وحامتي، لحمهم لحمي ودمهم دمي، يؤلمني ما يؤلمهم ويحزنني ما يحزنهم. أنا حرب لمن حاربهم، وسلم لمن سالمهم، وعدو لمن عاداهم، ومحب لمن أحبهم. إنهم مني وأنا منهم. فاجعل صلواتك وبركاتك ورحمتك وغفرانك ورضوانك علي وعليهم، وأذهب عنهم الرجس وطهرهم تطهيرا.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
فقال الله عز وجل: يا ملائكتي ويا سكان سماواتي، إني ما خلقت السماء مبنية ولا أرضا مدحية ولا قمرا منيرا ولا شمسا مضية ولا فلكا يدور ولا بحر يجري ولا فلك يسري إلا في محبة هؤلاء الخمسة الذين هم تحت الكساء. فقال الأمين جبرائيل: يا ربي ومن تحت الكساء؟ فقال عز وجل: هم أهل بيت النبوة ومعدن الرسالة، هم فاطمة وأبوها وبعلها وبنوها. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. فقال جبرائيل: يا ربي أتأذنني أن أهبط إلى الأرض لأكون معهم سادسا؟ فقال الله عز وجل: نعم، قد أذنت لك. فهبط الأمين جبرائيل وقال: السلام عليك يا رسول الله. العلي الأعلى يقرك السلام ويخصك بالتحية والإكرام ويقول لك: وعزتي وجلالي إني ما خلقت السماء مبنية ولا أرضا مدحية ولا قمرا منيرا ولا شمسا مضيا ولا فلك يدور ولا بحر يجري ولا فلك يسري إلا لأجلكم ومحبتكم، وقد أذن لي أن أدخل معكم، فهل تأذنني يا رسول الله؟ فقال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله: وعليك السلام يا أمين وحي الله، إنه نعم قد أذنت لك. فدخل جبرائيل معنا تحت الكساء. فقال لأبي: إن الله قد أوحى إليكم يقول: إنما يريد الله ليذهب عنكم الرجس أهل البيت ويطهركم تطهيرا.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
فقال علي لأبي يا رسول الله أخبرني ما لجلوسنا هذا تحت الكساء من الفضل عند الله. فقال النبي صلى الله عليه وآله والذي بعثني بالحق نبيا واصطفاني بالرسالة نجيا ما ذكر خبرنا هذا في محفل من محافل أهل الأرض وفيه جمع من شيعتنا ومحبينا إلا ونزلت عليهم الرحمات وحفت بهم الملائكة واستغفرت لهم إلى أن يتفرقوا. فقال علي عليه السلام إذا والله فزنا وفاز شيعتنا ورب الكعبة. فقال أبي رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله يا علي والذي بعثني بالحق نبيا واصطفاني بالرسالة نجيا ما ذكر خبرنا هذا في محفل من محافل أهل الأرض وفيه جمع من شيعتنا ومحبينا وفيهم مهموم إلا وفرج الله هما ولا مغموم إلا وكشف الله غما ولا طالب حاجة إلا وقضى الله حاجته. فقال علي عليه السلام إذا والله فزنا وسعدنا وكذلك شيعتنا فازوا وسعدوا في الدنيا والآخرة ورب الكعبة. اللهم صل على
محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
درود بھیجیے.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
ابن ملجم نے حیدر کو مارا روزہ دارو قیامت کے دن ہے. ابن ملجم نے حیدر کو مارا روزہ دارو قیامت کے دن ہے. تم سے چھٹتا ہے مولا تمہارا روزہ دارو قیامت کے دن ہے. ابن ملجم نے حیدر کو مارا روزہ دارو قیامت کے دن ہے. سونی قبر رسول خدا ہے گھر میں زہرا کے ماتم بپا ہے. سونی قبر رسول خدا ہے گھر میں زہرا کے ماتم بپا ہے. خاک اڑاتا ہے حیدر کا کلبہ روزہ دارو قیامت کے دن ہے. ابن ملجم نے حیدر کو مارا آل احمد پہ آفت ہے آئی بے کسوں پہ یتیمی ہے چھائی. آل احمد پہ آفت ہے آئی بے کسوں پہ یتیمی ہے چھائی. اٹھ گیا سر سے حیدر کا سایہ روزہ دارو قیامت کے دن ہے. ابن ملجم نے حیدر کو مارا گھر میں خالق کے حیدر کو مارا جانشین پیغمبر کو مارا. گھر میں خالق کے حیدر کو مارا جانشین پیمبر کو مارا، ہائے سجدے میں سرور کو مارا، روزہ دارو قیامت کے دن ہے، ابن ملجم نے حیدر کو مارا، کیوں نہ روئے یہ وہ غم نہیں ہے، شب یہ عاشور سے کم نہیں ہے، کیوں نہ روئے یہ وہ غم نہیں ہے، شب یہ عاشور سے کم نہیں ہے، خلد میں بھی یہ ماتم ہے برپا، روزہ دارو قیامت کے دن ہے، ابن ملجم نے حیدر کو مارا، دل ہلاتے ہیں زینب کے نالے، خاک اڑاتے ہیں سب کنبے والے، دل ہلاتے ہیں زینب کے نالے، خاک اڑاتے ہیں سب کنبے والے، اٹھ رہا ہے علی کا جنازہ، روزہ دارو قیامت کے دن ہے، تم سے چھٹتا ہے مولا تمہارا، روزہ دارو قیامت کے دن ہے۔ صلوات۔
توقعات میں اضافہ کرے مولا تمہیں، بہت ہمیشہ خوش رکھے، بہت اللہ۔
صلوات بھیجے پر محمد و آل محمد، صلی اللہ محمد و آل محمد۔ شکریہ، بالکل۔ ظاہر حسین زیدی صاحب کے سلام کے کچھ اشعار ہیں مولا علی کی شان میں۔ ذات علی نبی ہے سہارا کہاں کہاں، ذات علی نبی ہے سہارا کہاں کہاں، حیدر نے دین حق ہے بچایا کہاں کہاں، ذات علی بنی ہے سہارا کہاں کہاں، گاہے رکوع میں اور گہے بستر پہ لیٹ کر، گاہے رکوع میں اور گہے بستر پہ لیٹ کر، خوش خوش رضائے رب ہے خریدا کہاں کہاں، چن چن کے دن کے رات دن اسلام کے لیے، چن چن کے دن کے رات دن اسلام کے لیے، حیدر نے آشیاں نہ سجایا کہاں کہاں، رزموں میں ذوالفقار سے، بزموں میں نہج سے، رزموں میں ذوالفقار سے، بزموں میں نہج سے، گیسوئے دیں علی نے سنوارا کہاں کہاں، گیسوئے دیں علی نے سنوارا کہاں کہاں، نادے علی کے لفظوں سے کر لیجئے قیاس، نادے علی کے لفظوں سے کر لیجئے قیاس، حیدر کو مصطفیٰ نے پکارا کہاں کہاں، حیدر نے مصطفیٰ کو پکارا کہاں کہاں، دورے فتن میں سیرت علوی کی شمع نے، دورے فتن میں سیرت علوی کی شمع نے، تاریکیوں کا بانٹا اجالا کہاں کہاں، کتنوں نے حیف صحبت نبوی کے فیض کو، کتنوں نے حیف صحبت نبوی کے فیض کو، بغض علی میں پھنس کے گنوایا کہاں کہاں، بعد رسول اپنوں نہیں بہر اقتدار، دشمن کی طاقتوں کو ابھارا کہاں کہاں، آخری دو شعر ہیں صفین میں جمل میں کبھی نہروان میں، صفین میں جمل میں کبھی نہروان میں، یاروں نے حق سے ہاتھ چھڑایا کہاں کہاں، مقطع ہے، کر کے مہد سے ابتدا کنجے لحد تلک، کر کے مہد سے ابتدا کنجے لحد تلک، زائر کو مرتضیٰ نے سنبھالا کہاں کہاں، ذات علی بنی ہے سہارا کہاں کہاں. صلوات وچ محمد و آل محمد.
اللہم صلی علی محمد و آل محمد. بعض بلند صلوات بھیجیں. اللہ. ابن ملجم نے حیدر کو مارا، روزہ دار و قیامت کے دن ہے. اپنی ممبرشپ ڈیو ہو گئی ہے، کافی لوگوں کی ممبرشپ نہیں آئی ابھی ہے، تو برائے مہربانی اپنی ممبرشپ جو ہے ایز سون ایز پاسبل پیش کر دیں، کیونکہ آپ کی ممبرشپ سے ہم لوگ جو ہے اس سینٹر کا تقریباً 3 بڑے بل پے کرتے ہیں سالانہ، اپنا الیکٹرک بل، اپنا گیس بل اور واٹر بل. تو برائے مہربانی اپنی ممبرشپ جو ہے جلد سے جلد پے کر دیں. Now I'm requesting Qibla Talib Musfi for Majalis Shahadat Imam Ali alayhi salam. Ba'ud buland salawat.
نعرہ تکبیر، نعرہ رسالت، نعرہ حیدری. آواز بلند صلوات.
اللهم صل على محمد وعلى محمد. Brothers and sisters, please, before we begin, recite Surah Fatiha for your marhumin and for the marhumin of the people that sponsor tonight's iftar. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله الذي لا يبلغ مدحته القائلون ولا يوصينا معه العادون ولا يؤدي حقه المجتهدون الذي لا يدركه بحد الهمم ولا يناله غوث الفتن الذي ليس لصفته حد محدود ولا نعت موجود ولا وقت محدود ولا أجل ممدود فترى الخلائق بقدرته ونشر رياح برحمته ووتد بالسخر ميدان عرض. ثم الصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين وحبيبنا وحبيب رب العالمين بالقاسم محمد وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين واللعن على أعدائهم أجمعين من أول يوم ظلمهم إلى قيام يوم الدين. أما بعد، فقال الله سبحانه وتعالى في كتابه المبين وقوله الحق. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. يا أيها الرسول بلغ ما أنزل إليك من ربك وإن لم تفعل فما بلغت رسالته والله يحسمك من الناس إن الله لا يهدي القوم الكافرين. صدق الله العلي العظيم. Dear brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. As you're all aware, these nights we are commemorating the Shahadat of Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin. And when it comes to this personality, this is that personality whose beginning we don't know where it starts, whose end we don't know where it ends. And inshallah, when I use these phrases, we'll get into why I'm using these phrases and who of our ulama have used these phrases and what these phrases truly mean. But one of the most important verses of the Quran and one of the last verses and one of the last commands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He revealed to the Muslims was this command, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in this verse of the Quran, Ya ayyuhar Rasul, balligh, O my messenger, proclaim, Ma unzila ilayka min rabbik, what has already been revealed to you from your Lord. Why and what that message is, inshallah, we'll get into. But when you look at the phrasing of this verse, Ya ayyuhal Rasul, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He's never spoken to the Holy Prophet in this way before. He's never spoken to the Holy Prophet. If you open up the Quran, you look at it, and you look at the way Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has spoken to the Holy Prophet, Yasin. Yasin. You look at the Quran and you look at the way the Holy Prophet has spoken to the Holy Prophet, Ya ayyuhal Muzammil. Ya ayyuhal Mudassir. You see that the way Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has spoken to the Holy Prophet before this verse, He's using words that convey what? Love. Now Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying what? Ya ayyuhal Rasul. O my messenger. When it came to the commands of prayer, when it came to the commands of Hajj, when it came to the commands of Zakat, when it came to the commands of all of those farais of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, Ya ayyuhar Rasul. He doesn't say Ya ayyuhar Rasul. Why is it that only and only in this verse Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says Ya ayyuhar Rasul? What is so important about what is going to be revealed in this verse where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has to use what? The job title of Rasulullah. Rasul is what? If I was to use it in layman's terms, Rasulullah is what? The job, Rasul is the job of the Prophet. The difference between Rasul and Prophet, maybe I need to explain that really quick. Rasul and Nabi. Rasul is a messenger. Nabi is a prophet. Not every Nabi is a messenger, but every messenger is a Nabi. Another difference between Nabi and messenger. Messengers, they came with books. Messengers, they came with books, but not every Nabi came with a book. Messengers are not just for a single person or two people. Messengers. Nabis, they can be a Nabi just for themselves. A Nabi can be a Nabi just for the family. A Nabi can be a Nabi just for a village. But a messenger is not just for himself. A messenger is not just for two people. A messenger is just not for a family. No, a messenger is for a group of people that extends outside of the family. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying what? Ya ayyuhal Rasul. O my messenger. O my messenger. Proclaim what has been revealed to you. Proclaim what has been revealed. Balligh ma unzila ilayka min rabbik. What does balligh mean? Balligh, if we translate it to English, it means what? Proclaim. What's the difference between qul and balligh? The difference between qul, you say qul huwallahu ahad, do you not? Qul a'udhu rabbil falaq. Qul a'udhu rabbin nas. Qul, you hear the word qul. What's the difference between qul and balligh? Qul, it just means to say. Balligh, it means to proclaim. A proclamation, even in the English definition, a proclamation is done so everyone can hear. It's done openly so everyone can hear. Whereas qul, whereas the words say, it's not necessary that everyone needs to hear it. It's not necessary that everyone needs to hear it. What is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala saying? When you say qul huwallahu ahad, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is one. Say Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is one. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't care if everyone hears it or doesn't hear it. No, He doesn't care. But when it comes to the proclamation, when it comes to this wilayat of Amir al-Mu'mineen, no, He does care. That's why He uses the word baligh, because He wants everyone to hear about this. He wants everyone to hear about this. Tawheed of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, one hand, Amir al-Mu'mineen's wilayat on the other hand. Tawheed of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on one hand, where He doesn't care if you say it openly. He doesn't care if you say it privately. No, He doesn't care. But when it comes to the wilayat of Amir al-Mu'mineen, no, He does care. He wants that wilayat to be said openly. That's why He uses the word baligh. That's why He uses the word baligh. How do you and I proclaim the wilayat of Amir al-Mu'mineen? Do you all know people, they have this idea, Ali and Waliullah, Ali and Waliullah. Why shouldn't he even have been in the azan? No, the way that we proclaim the wilayat of Amir al-Mu'mineen is through our azan. Azan itself, it tells people to come closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Azan itself is a proclamation to come for prayer. And that's where we do what? Ashhadu anna Aliyun Waliullah. So everyone knows that this proclamation, this order that was given by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was for everyone to hear. What is the one thing that everyone will hear? The azan. Why? Because this azan invites people to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It invites people to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Correct? It goes on, وَإِن لَمْ تَفْعَلْ فَمَا بَلَّغْتَ رِسَالَتَهُ. If you do not do this, then it's as if you've not done anything for Risalat. If you not proclaim this, then it's as if you've not proclaimed or you've not done anything for Risalat at all. You look at the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has never spoken to the Holy Prophet this way. Never. He's never said, if you don't tell people to pray, then it's as if you've not done anything for Risalat. The prayers is for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He's never said, if you don't tell people about Hajj, then you've never done anything for Risalat. Hajj is for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Not about zakat, about khums, about jihad. He's never said, if you don't tell people about jihad, then you haven't done anything for Allah, for Risalat. No. If you don't proclaim this, then you haven't done anything in regards to Risalat. What is Risalat? What is the job of a Rasul? Isn't the first and foremost job of a Rasul to teach people about Tawheed? Isn't that why the Holy Prophet came? Isn't that what the Holy Prophet was doing in Mecca against the Mushrikeen? There was Mushrikeen of Mecca, there was the many gods of the Meccans, and the Allah of the Holy Prophet. One of the main jobs of all prophets, all Rasuls, is to teach people about Tawheed. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala threatens the Holy Prophet and He tells him that if you do not proclaim this, then you have not done the mission of Risalat. The mission of Risalat is Tawheed. The mission of Risalat is to teach people about Tawheed. What is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala saying? If you do not proclaim this, then you have not given them the mission of Tawheed. You've not given them the mission of Tawheed. The wilayat of Amir al-Mu'mineen and the Tawheed of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's not me that's putting them at this footing. No, it's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala Himself that is putting it at this footing. And inshallah, we will get into what this means. Why? Because there are books that a lot of our great ulama have written. For example, Imam Khomeini, he's written about what true khilafat is. He's written about what true wilayat is. Misbah al-Hidayah, the name of the book, Misbah al-Hidayah, ila al-Khilafa wal-Wilaya. A lot of people don't know about this book. Kashf al-Asrar, don't know about this book. These books, they open up the mind about to what their idea, how they believe the Imam to be. If I was to say, for example, in Misbah al-Hidayah, Imam Khomeini, he says that the A'imah, they're the mirrors of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The mirrors of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Inshallah, we'll get to it in the next couple of days. What does he mean when he says that they are the mirrors? One thing you have to remember, and keep this in mind, when a mirror says kun, or when you say kun, the mirror also says kun. When you say kun, the mirror will also say kun. Just keep that in mind. When we go into that, just remember that. Because the way that he's described wilayat in its essence is not the way that you and I accept wilayah. The way that he describes Tawheed and the way that he believed in Tawheed is not the same way you and I believe in Tawheed. No, it's not. There's some phrases that he himself has used for Amir al-Mu'mineen. Some phrases that he himself has used for Amir al-Mu'mineen. And he got those phrases from what? Qutbat al-Bayan. Imam Ali alayhi salam used those phrases to describe himself in Khutbatul Bayan. Imam Khomeini used those same phrases to describe Imam Ali alayhi salam. But when it comes to Khutbatul Bayan, oh, you know what? We don't know about the sanat of this khutbah. But when Imam Khomeini uses those same phrases, then people's eyes start opening up. Hold on. And alims such as this, he used these phrases. Let's think about this. Think about why he used it. Just in the beginning of Misbah al-Hidayah, what does Imam Khomeini do? The first thing he does is the same thing Imam Ali alayhi salam does in Khutbat al-Bayan. He praises Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He praises Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Why? Because in Khutbat al-Bayan, Imam Ali is going to what? Tell everyone about his ma'rifah, tell everyone about himself. The reason he praises Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is so that people do not think that he is God. Imam Khomeini, the first reason that he praises Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, why? So then when he starts describing Amir al-Mu'mineen, they don't think that he's a ghali. So they don't think that he's a ghali. But when it comes to these khutbahs of Amir al-Mu'mineen, and when ulama read them from the minbar, all of a sudden they're ghali. Why? Because the people don't understand. Read their books and try to understand. If you don't understand, ask those ulama that have studied in Qum. Ask those ulama that are their students to please explain to us what this means. This book, Misbah al-Hidayah, has been translated into Urdu. Please, if you only understand Urdu, find it, read it. It's been translated into English. If you understand and read English, find it, read it. It's in Arabic, read it. It's in Persian, read it. Read it. Because in these books you understand, or you start to understand the reality of Amir al-Mu'mineen. This is the reason Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is threatening, saying that if you do not proclaim this, then it's as if you've done nothing for Risalat altogether. Why? Because that tawheed of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that tawheed of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would not exist in the eyes of the people or in the eyes of the creatures, in the hearts of the creatures, if it wasn't for the Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam. It wouldn't exist. And inshallah we'll get into why. But I'm quickly doing the tafsir of this verse because I need to go to one of the sermons of Amir al-Mu'mineen where he starts explaining his Nurani Marifah. But I need to make the connection to that sermon and why Amir al-Mu'mineen does and says what he says. Wallahu yahsimuka minan nas. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He will be the one to protect you from the people. Why did the Holy Prophet need protection? That now Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying that I will be the one to protect you from the people. Why? Because there had been many times before, whenever the Holy Prophet talked about Imam Ali alayhi salam being the next rightful Khalifa, Imam Ali alayhi salam being the successor, what would the people say? The people themselves, because of the love that the Holy Prophet had for Amir al-Mu'mineen, the people themselves would say that he's ghali. If you want to be ghali, then you should be ghali the way the Holy Prophet was ghali. Why? The people at that time used to also say to the Holy Prophet that he's become ghali. He only listens to Amir al-Mu'mineen. No, he's taken Imam Ali to such a high status. If that's the ghali that someone needs to become, then become that type of ghali, where the Holy Prophet takes Amir al-Mu'mineen and keeps him at that status that is deserving of him. He doesn't take him above. But what happened? All the people that were below, they did not understand that status. Because they did not understand that status, now you have all these fightings that happen. Inna Allah la yahdi al-qawm al-kazibin. No. The end of the verse. Ayatul Balligh. Inna Allah la yahdi al-qawm al-zalimin. No. Inna Allah la yahdi al-qawm al-kafirin. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not guide the kuffar. Not the zalimeen. No, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not guide the kuffar. Tell me, Ayatul Balligh, where was it revealed? Ayatul Balligh was revealed, Ghadir Qum. Ghadir Qum, where were these people coming from? Hajj. All of these people are known as Hajis. Hajis are Pajis. No, not Pajis. Hajis are Muslims, correct? You have a gathering of Muslims. All of these Muslims, the narration is 100,000. 100,000 Muslims have gathered in Ghadir Qum. This narration or this verse has been revealed. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Allah does not guide the kafirin. Ya Allah, they're all Muslim. Everyone that is gathered here, are they not Muslim? Does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala not know? No, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows the reality. To us, they look like Muslim. Because they don't have the wilayat of Amir al-Mu'mineen, to him, they're not Muslim. Because they don't have the wilayat of Amir al-Mu'mineen. The ones that will not be guided to the wilayat of Amir al-Mu'mineen, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says they're kafir. The ones that reject the wilayat of Amir al-Mu'mineen. Rejecting and accepting. You have to remember, you can't reject anything until it is put forward to you. If water isn't put forward to me, I can't reject it. It has no meaning. If the wilayat of Imam Ali alayhi salam was not put forward to them, then it could not be said that they rejected it. The only time that they rejected it, or the only way that they could reject the wilayat of Imam Ali alayhi salam, is when it was put forward to them. Now, if it was put forward to them, and someone in Medina comes to the Holy Prophet and he says to them, Ya Muhammad, you told us to pray, we prayed. Why? Because you told us to do it. Ya Muhammad, you told us to fast, we fasted. Why? Because you told us to do it. You told us to give zakat, we gave zakat. You told us to do hajj, we did hajj. Now, you've put your brother-in-law, you've put your cousin, and you've made him the Khalifa over us. Did you do this on your own accord, or was this a command from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Who is this person? Haris, correct. What is he? No, he's a Muslim, that's correct. No, I want to go deeper. Has he seen the Prophet? He's seen the Prophet. Did he accept the kalima of the Prophet? He's accepted the kalima of the Prophet. Aren't these the two criteria to be a Sahabi? When he died, did he not die on the kalima of La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah? He did. He died on the kalima of La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah, but he did not die on the kalima of La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah Aliyun Waliullah. The reason he died was because of Aliyun Waliullah. He didn't accept. What did he do? This companion of the Holy Prophet, he comes to the Holy Prophet and he challenges him. He tells him, did you do this on your own accord, or was it a command from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? What does the Holy Prophet say? The Holy Prophet says, no, this was a command from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Haris, he says, if this was a command from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then may he strike me dead. If this was a command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then may he strike me dead. The narrations, when you pick them up, they say that he had not even gone to his camel when a rock, a pebble came from the skies, it struck him on the head and it came out from the end. The wilayat of Amir al-Mu'mineen. When people actually challenge the wilayat of Amir al-Mu'mineen and they ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to curse them, to send lanat on them, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not wait until akhirah. He does it in this world. And this is exactly what happened to Haris. So what is so important about the wilayat of Amir al-Mu'mineen? How should you and I believe in the wilayat of Amir al-Mu'mineen? How should you and I believe in Imam Ali alayhi salam? Let's look at how Imam Ali alayhi salam tells us to believe in him. Whatever I might say, or whatever I might tell you, or how to believe in Imam Ali alayhi salam, that might be my opinion. It's not necessary that my opinion is correct. But when Imam Ali alayhi salam tells us to believe in him in a certain way, then we can all rest assured that that way is 100% correct. And that's the way that we all should believe in him. Why? Because believing him in that way is where our najat is. So how does Imam Ali alayhi salam tell us to believe in him? Sallallahu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Abu Zar Ghafari, Salman Farsi. Abu Zar Ghafari, he goes to Salman Farsi and he tells Salman, this is Khutbatul Ma'rifatu bin Nuraniya. The sermon of Amir al-Mu'mineen, recognizing Amir al-Mu'mineen through his Nurani state. And this sermon, you can find it in a book entitled Khutbat al-Nadira li Amir al-Mu'mineen. These khutbas that are not well renowned in regards to Amir al-Mu'mineen, you can find it in Bihar al-Anwar. You can find it in Bihar also. And Salman Farsi Abu Zar, he goes to Salman and he says to Salman, what is the reality of Amir al-Mu'mineen's Noor? What is the reality of Amir al-Mu'mineen's Noor? Salman, he goes, Abu Zar, instead of asking me, let's go ask him. Let's go ask him. When they go, they wait, the whole khutbah, the whole narration is that they wait, Amir al-Mu'mineen is not there, they wait longer, and when Amir al-Mu'mineen comes, they ask Amir al-Mu'mineen, Ya Ali, can you tell us about your actual existence? Can you tell us about your actual reality? Can you tell us about your Noor? The first thing Amir al-Mu'mineen says to them, both of them, and he looks at both of them and he says, I will definitely tell both of you. Why? Because you are not muqassirin. I will tell both of you why? Because you do not belittle the station that I've been given. So even in that time, Amir al-Mu'mineen knew that there were people that were belittling the station that was truly his. Not just from the companions, no, of the Holy Prophet, no. From amongst those people that considered themselves to be Shia of Amir al-Mu'mineen. There were still people that did not recognize Amir al-Mu'mineen the way he truly should have been recognized. But he tells both of them that I will definitely tell you. And how does he start? He says the first thing, he who accepts my wilayah superficially, has little rewards for his deeds. Meaning what? A lot of people, they don't understand the wilayat of Amir al-Mu'mineen. Oh yes, we accept, we're Shia, Ali and Waliullah. We accept Imam Ali alayhi salam, Ali and Waliullah, we accept. Their understanding, their acceptance of the wilayat of Amir al-Mu'mineen is only to the point of their tongue. That's that superficial wilayah, Imam Ali alayhi salam. It's only to the point of their tongue. When it comes time to show them that they truly love Imam Ali alayhi salam, oh no, we shouldn't do this. When it comes time to show them that we love Imam Hussein alayhi salam, no, we shouldn't do this, Matam. No, we shouldn't do this. We shouldn't do this. That love of the Ahlul Bayt for some of these people is just to the point of their tongue. That's it. Especially when it comes to Azadari. Sayyid Khomeini, Imam Khomeini, he wrote a book, his Kashf al-Asrar was an answer to an alim in Qum who stood up and started writing against Azadari. He was writing against Azadari. This Azadari that's being done, this has been made up. This doesn't take you any closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Imam Khomeini's Kashf al-Asrar, read it. He basically obliterates them and he tells them and proves them from the Quran that no, this Azadari that we do is something from the Quran. Hazrat Adam did this. All the prophets that Hazrat Nuh was, why was Hazrat Nuh called Nuh? Noah, thank you so much. The Noah that we have. The Noahs, Nuh. Why? He used to cry, lament. Noah, lamentation. He used to lament a lot. Lament over what? Lament that he was actually guiding or trying to guide people, but they would not be guided. And because of that, he used to cry. Nuh. You look at Hazrat Yaqub alayhi salam. Did he not cry? He cried. Why did he cry? Hazrat Yusuf. What happened to Hazrat Yusuf? Did Hazrat Yusuf pass away? No. Hazrat Yusuf only disappeared from his eyesight. And Hazrat Yaqub cried to such an extent that he lost his own eyesight. Azadari over Hazrat Yusuf. You look at the Imams. Did they not cry over Imam Hussein alayhi salam? Azadari over Imam Hussein alayhi salam. If you look at the narrations about what, right after Imam Hussein alayhi salam, he was martyred. Ziyarat al-Nahiya Qudsiyah. That is a ziyarat from whom? Imam Zaman alayhi salam. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad. That's ziyarat from Imam Zaman alayhi salam. When the ladies of the tent, they found out that Imam Hussein alayhi salam had been martyred, what did they come out doing? They came out beating their faces. Imam Zaman alayhi salam is saying this. And now people have a problem beating our chest. Our Shias, they have a problem beating our chest. The ladies came out beating their faces. Our Shias, they have a problem, we beat our chest. Oh, this has nothing to do with Islam. I'm sorry, but everything Lady Zainab did has everything to do with Islam. Everything Imam Zain al-Abidin did has everything to do with Islam. If they beat their face, then that has to do with Islam. It's not cultural, it's Islamic. That's not cultural, that's Islamic. If the Holy Prophet did it, it's not cultural, Islamic. If Imam Ali did it, it's not cultural, Islamic. My Islam is them. What they did, what they said, everything that's my Islam. That is my Islam. That should be everyone's Islam. But they come out and say that this is cultural. No. Find out the difference between culture and Islam. Find out what Islam says about culture. Islam doesn't say that you can't take everything that, no. Islam says that from culture you can take everything that you want as long as it does not, what? As long as it's not against any of the laws of Islam. How's Azadari against the laws of Islam? Mourning is against the laws of Islam? Hazrat Adam mourned for so long. Hazrat Yaqub mourned for so long. Imam Zaman alayhi salam has been mourning for 1200 years. Imam Zaman alayhi salam, Ziyarat al-Nahiya. A lot of people have a problem. Ziyarat al-Nahiya. Imam Zaman alayhi salam, if you read the end of it, what does Imam Zaman say? I was not there to help you at that time. But because I was not there until the end of time, whenever I remember you, I will cry tears of blood. I will cry tears of blood. The only time Imam Zaman alayhi salam cries tears of blood is when he's remembering Imam Hussein. Not even when he's remembering Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When he's remembering Imam Hussein, he's crying tears of blood. Tell me, all of these people that are so Husseini, all of these people that love Imam Zaman so much, all of these people that love Imam Hussein alayhi salam so much, do what the Imam of your time is doing, cry tears of blood for Imam Hussein. If you can't cry tears of blood, then please do not raise your hand against those people that shed their blood for Imam Hussein. Don't raise your finger. Don't raise your hand. Don't say anything. Why? Because this is a matter that deals with the Maraja. The Maraja, they have a difference of opinion. Leave it at that. It doesn't need to come down here. Doesn't need to come down here. Look at the ma'rifat that these Maraja have. Look at the ma'rifat of Imam Khomeini. He doesn't let anyone speak out against these ashar of Abu Abdullah al-Hussein alayhi salam. As soon as someone writes something, he makes sure that there's a response. Why? Because they had true ma'rifat of what imamat was. What does Imam Ali alayhi salam say? He goes on to say what? Those whose skills will be light and their souls will be in perdition, for they have wrongly treated our signs. O Salman, Iman of a believer will not attain the level of perfection unless and until he would recognize me by my noor. If you don't recognize Amir al-Mu'mineen as noor, if you don't recognize Amir al-Mu'mineen through his noor, then your Iman is incomplete. Iman is incomplete. He goes on to say what? When someone knows me by my noor, only then they have truly attained Iman. When they know me by my noor, then and only then have they truly attained Iman. And he goes on to say what? That individual is whose heart has been tested with true faith, whose chest is dilated in true Islam, and whose faith is based on discernment. Thus he becomes an arif. Imam Khomeini, one of the most renowned arifs of our time. There's no marja today that would not say that no, Imam Khomeini was not an arif. Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam, he says that in order for you to be an arif, you have to know what my noor is. In order for you to be an arif, you have to know what my noor is. Imam Hussain Tabatabai, everyone knows he was an arif. In order for him to be an arif, he understood what Imam Ali alayhi salam's noor was. Look at these personalities. Look at what their aqeedah is. That's the aqeedah that we should take from them. If you want to learn from these ulama were able to achieve everything they achieved. How? Why? Because of their aqeedah. Because of their aqeedah. The stronger your aqeedah is when it comes to the wilayat of Amir al-Mu'mineen, the more you'll be able to achieve. That's why, from all the prophets, the one who was able to achieve the most was the last prophet. Why? Imam Khomeini, he writes, inshallah we'll get into it, when it comes to creation, and then there's a narration, that Hadith al-Qudsi actually, where the Holy Prophet is the rahmat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and Amir al-Mu'mineen is the power of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So, when the Holy Prophet had complete reliance on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's power, that power has now been reflected in a perfect mirror of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which is Ali alayhi salam. When he had complete reliance on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and his power, that complete reliance was also Imam Ali alayhi salam. Why? Because Imam Ali alayhi salam, he has taken the form of that power. That power has been put into that mirror. But Imam Ali alayhi salam, he goes on to say what? O Salman, O Abu Zar, in true essence, recognition of me by my noor is a recognition of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Recognition of me by my noor is a recognition of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And recognition and knowledge of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is indeed the recognition of my noor. If you recognize my noor, then you've recognized Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If you've recognized Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then you've recognized my noor. Can we ever recognize Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Can we know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? You and I cannot know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. No, you can know His signs. There's a difference between His signs and Him. We can know His signs, but we cannot know Him. This is what Imam Zain al-Abidin alayhi salam says. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Muhammad. He says, what in his du'as? The people that recognize you through your signs have not recognized you. You can't recognize Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through Him, His essence. Why? Because His essence has been covered from all of us. But His ayat, His signs are visible for us to see. And the greatest of His ayat are what? The sun? The moon? The angels? No. The greatest of His ayat are the Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam. The Ahlul Bayt. There is nothing like Him. There's nothing like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Laysa ka mislihi shay. There's no misl like Him. But is that to say that there's no mathal like Him? There's a difference between misl and mathal. Mithal, when we use it in English, if you translate it, for example, like. There is nothing like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Mathal, a parable, for example. Mathal, in Arabic, an example. An example. They get used interchangeably, but when you go into the nuances, that's what the difference between mithal and mathal is. In Arabic, there's a huge difference. In English, there isn't much of a difference. There isn't anything like Him. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala Himself, He gives an example. When He says what? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is Nurus samawat wal arz. Is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala literally nur of the heavens and the earth? If you say that, then you've basically constrained Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and confined Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Why? Because nur itself is created. Keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. I'm going to come to it tomorrow, inshallah. Nur is created. It's not born. Nur is created. Nur is created, and what happens to Nur? Nur descends. Keep this. I'm just going to go over it right now. Inshallah, tomorrow we'll go over into detail what this means. Nur is created. So that means that if the Aimam alayhi say that they're Nur, they have been created. If they say that they're Nur, then they have been created. There's a creator to them. Now I've said that Nur descends. I used this phrase yesterday. Imam Ali descended into the Kaaba. And I was asked about it. Yes, because Nur descends. When I said Nazil, the word Nazil in Arabic, I don't know, maybe the Urdu speaking, the rest of the world doesn't understand. What does the word Nazil mean? Nazil means descend, yes. But to descend, what does that mean? To descend, it means to come from a higher place to a lower place. That's all that means. Hazrat Adam alayhi salam, did he not descend? Did he not descend? Where was he before he came to the earth? You want to say heaven, you want to say garden, whatever you want to call it. Hazrat Adam alayhi salam descended. Lady Hawa, did she not descend? She descended. When you can say that they descended, why is it so problematic to say that the Aimam alayhi salam descended? Hazrat Adam alayhi salam, he had that form in the garden. He had a physical form in the sense that he had a body this way. His body looked like his body was made up of the same type or made up of the same material that our body is made up of. But it also descended. But even in heaven, Hazrat Adam alayhi salam, he was looking at some individuals that were higher than him, the Illiyin. Was he not? If he was looking at those Illiyin, in order for him to be able to see them, that means what? They had some sort of physical body. That physical body does not need to be materialistic. It could be nur. It could be nur. So why is it a huge problem when people use the phrase nuzul of Imam Ali, zahir of Imam Zaman, zuhur of all these imam? Why is it a huge problem? Please try to understand what these words mean, because that's exactly what Imam Khomeini has been saying throughout this whole time. Everyone uses different words, but they're trying to mean the same thing. And where's the fighting happening? Because one person doesn't understand what the other person's saying. He himself, if you read, then The Light Within Me, it's been translated into English. He himself, he says, look, it's like a person saying in English they want a grape. A person saying in Urdu, they want what? What's grape in Urdu? What's grape in Farsi? What's grape in Arabic? What's grape in Spanish? The words are different, but the reality is exactly the same. They're all describing the same reality, but they're using different language. That's it. We're all describing the same reality, we're using different language. That's what needs to be understood. And brothers, tonight is the 19th, or we're commemorating the 19th. Just as this nur descended, this nur ended up ascending again. And when it comes to the masayib of Imam Ali alayhi salam, you have to remember that today we're not giving pursa to Imam Ali alayhi salam. We're not giving pursa to the Holy Prophet, no. These days, we are giving pursa to who? Lady Zainab salawatullah alayha. These days, we are giving pursa to who? We are giving pursa to those arms of Abul Fazl Abbas alayhi salam that brought milk to the father when he needed milk, but could not bring water to his brother when he needed water. We're giving pursa to who? We're giving pursa to that son, Imam Hassan alayhi salam, who himself ended up crying, and when he was coughing up, what was he coughing up? He was coughing up parts of his liver. Sallallahu alayka ya Rasulallah. Sallallahu alayka ya Amir al-Mu'mineen. Sallallahu alayki ya Siddiqatu Fatima. Sallallahu alayka ya Hasan al-Mujtaba. Sallallahu alayka ya Gharib al-Ghuraba. Ya Aba Abdullah al-Husayn. Ya Husayn. आज़ादार, आज 19 की रात है। अमीर उल-मोमिनीन हज़रत उम्म कुलसूम के घर में इफ्तारी हज़रत उम्म कुलसूम के यहाँ है। हज़रत उम्म कुलसूम इफ्तारी को लाती है, 3 चीज़ें लाती है अमीर उल-मोमिनीन के सामने, ला के रखती है। अमीर उल-मोमिनीन उम्म कुलसूम को कहते हैं, या बेटी, मैंने 3 चीज़ों से कभी इफ्तारी नहीं की, एक चीज़ वापस लेके जाए। हज़रत उम्म कुलसूम फरमाते, बाबा जान कौन सी चीज़ में वापस लेके जाओ? सामने दूध, सामने रोटी और सामने सिरका। अमीर उल-मोमिनीन फरमाते, ऐ नूर नज़र, इस दूध को वापस लेके जाओ, मैं बस सिरका और रोटी से मैं इफ्तार करूँगा। जब इफ्तारी की, बस 2 लुक़मे खाए, 2 लुक़मे खाने के बाद ख़त्म किया। जब ख़त्म किया, उम्म कुलसूम फरमाती है, बाबा जान आपने कुछ खाया नहीं। बेटी जान, मैं खुदा के घर जा रहा हूँ, खुदा के घर में पेट फुल करके नहीं जाना चाहता हूँ। जब अमीर उल-मोमिनीन ने ये कहा, उम्म कुलसूम क्या फरमाते हैं? फरमाते हैं, बाबा जान आप खुदा के घर की बात कर रहे हैं। अमीर उल-मोमिनीन बाहर निकल के ऊपर देख के रोज के फरमाते, आज के बाद मैं इस दुनिया से, आज ही मैं इस दुनिया से चला जाने वाला हूँ। आज 19 की रात है। Tonight is the night of the 19th. Tonight is the night where my beard will be turned red. When Amir al-Mu'mineen, he goes to the mosque, what does he do? He sees that ibn Muljam, he's sleeping. What does he do? Amir al-Mu'mineen, he wakes him up and he tells him, oh Ibn Muljam, do what you've come here to do. Wake up, it's almost Namaz time. When Ibn Muljam, he wakes up, Amir al-Mu'mineen, what does he do? He says his first takbir. When he says his first takbir, Amir al-Mu'mineen, he goes to sajda. When he goes to sajda, Ibn Muljam, he comes and he strikes Amir al-Mu'mineen on the head. When he strikes Amir al-Mu'mineen on the head, what does the narration state? The narration state that Amir al-Mu'mineen, he turns around. When he turns around, he sees that it's Ibn Muljam. Imam Hassan al-Islam, he comes. Imam Hussein al-Islam, they come. When they come, they all catch Ibn Muljam. They catch Ibn Muljam and they tie Ibn Muljam's arms. Amir al-Mu'mineen, he looks at Ibn Muljam and he says to Ibn Muljam, oh Ibn Muljam, was I a bad Imam to you? Oh Ibn Muljam, what was it that I did that you did this to me? Ibn Muljam, he starts to cry. When he starts to cry, Amir al-Mu'mineen, he looks at Imam Hassan and he tells him, oh my son Hassan, I see his hands have been tied too tightly. Please loosen his arms. When they loosen his arms, Amir al-Mu'mineen, he tells Imam Hassan, oh Imam Hassan, there's 2 things I want you to do. If I'm alive, I will take care of him. But if something happens to me, just remember, you are supposed to do the justice of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He only struck me 1 time. I want you to strike him only 1 time, and that's it. This is Amir al-Mu'mineen. He's looking after that person that had struck him. He's looking after that person that had basically took away Amir al-Mu'mineen from us. Imam Hassan al-Islam, he brings Amir al-Mu'mineen to the house. When he brings Amir al-Mu'mineen to the house, Lady Zainab, she's waiting there. She sees Amir al-Mu'mineen and she says, Ya abati manzuri bika. Oh father dear, who is it that struck you? Amir al-Mu'mineen, he doesn't say anything. He just looks at Lady Zainab because Lady Zainab is crying. And when he sees that she's crying, Amir al-Mu'mineen, he starts to cry and he says, oh my daughter Zainab, please do not cry. Why? Because I see that you're here in Kufa and there's no one to cry over you. When he says this, Lady Zainab, She starts to cry and she says to him, oh father dear, how will I come here to this place again? Amir al-Mu'mineen says that you will be captured and you will be brought here and there will be no one to cry over you. That's when Lady Zainab, she says, Ya Amir al-Mu'mineen, Ya oh father dear, I will be captured. I have a brother like Abbas, I have a brother like Hassan, I have a brother like Hussein. How will they capture me? How will they tie my hands and bring me here? That's when Imam Ali alayhi salam, he says, oh my daughter, Hassan will not be there, Hussein will not be there, Abbas will not be there. Brothers, sisters, today a father is remembering his daughter, but there comes a point in time when this same daughter remembers her father. When is that? It is Sham Ghariban. All the children of all the children of Abu Abdullah Hussein alayhi salam, they've all gone out into the desert. Lady Zainab, she's found all of them, but she hasn't found one child. She goes out to the desert looking for this child. Who is this child? This is Lady Sukin. This is Lady Sakina. Lady Sakina, she's gone towards Najaf and asking for what? Asking for her grandfather. Hamid ibn Muslim, he writes that I see this little girl, she's running towards Najaf, and I see that there's someone who comes from the way of Najaf. He picks up this little girl and he asks this little girl, oh my daughter, where are you going? This little girl, she tells him, I want to go to Najaf. Why do you want to go to Najaf? Because my grandfather is in Najaf. By this time, Hamid ibn Muslim, he says that Zainab, she had come. When she had come, she sees this child in this man's arms, and she tells this man, oh man, thank you for finding this child. I had found all the children of Abu Abdullah Hussein, but this child was the most beloved of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. Can you please give me back this child? The narration, they say that this man, he drops this child onto the ground. He turns around and he says, just one time, Zainab. When he says Zainab one time, Lady Zainab, she turns around, she says, how do you know who I am? That's when he says, oh my daughter Zainab. When he says, oh my daughter Zainab, that's when Lady Zainab remembers her father, and she yells out, oh father dear, I kept calling you when Hussein was being martyred. I kept calling you when Abbas was being martyred. I kept calling you when Akbar was being martyred. I kept calling you from the test, but you did not come, and now you have come. Inna lillah wa inna ilayhi raji'un. Wa la'natullah ala qawmil kafirin. Matam Ali.
Ya Ali Maula, 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 Ya Ali Maula. 732 टोटल किया है और रैफ 4 है क्राइटिकल प्लेट एजी प्लीज को हटा लें काफी गाड़ियां ब्लॉक कर रही है वो आगाज हो रहा है करबल की कहानी का आगाज हो रहा है करबल की कहानी का आगाज हो रहा है करबल की कहानी का आगाज हो रहा है करबल की कहानी जवाब दें आगाज हो रहा है करबल की कहानी का आगाज हो रहा है करबल की कहानी का आगाज हो रहा है करबल की कहानी का लोगों ये जनाजा है इस्लाम के बानी का आगाज हो रहा है करबल की कहानी 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 का लोगों ये जनाजा है इस्लाम के बानी का आगाज हो रहा है करबल की कहानी 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 का लोगों ये जनाजा है इस्लाम के बानी का आगाज हो रहा है करबल की कहानी का आगाज हो रहा है करबल की कहानी सब जवाब दे आगाज हो रहा है करबल की कहानी का आगाज हो रहा सब जवाब दे करबल की कहानी का आगाज हो रहा है करबल की कहानी का बीबी ने कहा बाबा करबल में चले आना बीबी ने कहा बाबा करबल में चले आना मंजर मैं दिखाऊंगी अकबर की जवानी का मंजर मैं दिखाऊंगी अकबर की जवानी का लोगों ये जनाजा है इस्लाम के बानी का आगाज हो रहा है करबल की कहानी का आगाज हो रहा है आगाज हो रहा है करबल की कहानी सब जवाब दे आगाज हो रहा है करबल की कहानी का बीबी ने कहा बाबा करबल में चले आना
بی بی نے کہا بابا کربل میں چلے آنا، منظر میں دکھاؤں گی اکبر کی جوانی کا، لوگوں یہ جنازہ ہے اسلام کے بانی کا، آغاز ہو رہا ہے کربل کی جوانی کا، آغاز ہو رہا ہے کربل کی کہانی کا، آغاز ہو رہا ہے کربل کی کہانی کا، لوگوں یہ جنازہ ہے اسلام کے بانی کا، آغاز ہو رہا ہے کربل کی کہانی کا، آغاز ہو رہا ہے کربل کی کہانی کا، کٹ جائیں گے بازو بھی ابا سے با وفا کے، کٹ جائیں گے بازو بھی ابا سے با وفا کے، تیروں سے ہوگا چھلنی مشکیزہ وہ پانی کا، لوگوں یہ جنازہ ہے اسلام کے بانی کا، آغاز ہو رہا ہے کربل کی کہانی کا، آغاز ہو رہا ہے کربل کی کہانی کا، آغاز ہو رہا ہے کربل کی کہانی کا، لوگوں یہ جنازہ ہے اسلام کے بانی کا، آغاز ہو رہا ہے کربل کی کہانی کا، آغاز ہو رہا ہے کربل کی کہانی کا، آغاز ہو رہا ہے کربل کی کہانی کا، کٹ جائیں گے بازو بھی ابا سے با وفا کے، کٹ جائیں گے بازو بھی ابا سے با وفا کے، تیروں سے ہوگا چھلنی مشکیزہ وہ پانی کا، لوگوں یہ جنازہ ہے اسلام کے بانی کا، آغاز ہو رہا ہے کربل کی کہانی کا، آغاز ہو رہا ہے کربل کی کہانی کا، آغاز ہو رہا ہے کربل کی کہانی کا، لوگوں یہ جنازہ ہے اسلام کے بانی کا، آغاز سب جواب دیں کربل کی کہانی کا، آغاز ہو رہا ہے کربل کی کہانی کا، آغاز ہو رہا ہے کربل کی کہانی کا، بکھرے گا کربلا میں قاسم کے سر کا صحرا، بکھرے گا کربلا میں قاسم کے سر کا صحرا، خوشیاں سمیٹ لے گا عالم وہ ویرانی کا، لوگوں یہ جنازہ ہے اسلام کے بانی کا، آغاز ہو رہا ہے کربل کی کہانی کا، آغاز ہو رہا ہے کربل کی کہانی کا، آغاز ہو رہا ہے کربل کی کہانی کا، لوگوں یہ جنازہ ہے اسلام کے بانی کا، آغاز ہو رہا ہے کربل کی کہانی کا، آغاز ہو رہا ہے کربل کی کہانی کا۔ بکھرے گا کربلا میں قاسم کے سر کا صحرا، بکھرے گا کربلا میں قاسم کے سر کا صحرا، خوشیاں سمیٹ لے گا عالم و ویرانی کا، لوگوں یہ جنازہ ہے اسلام کے بانی کا، آغاز ہو رہا ہے کربل کی کہانی کا، آغاز ہو رہا ہے کربل کی کہانی کا، آغاز سب جواب دیں ہے کربل کی کہانی کا، آغاز ہو رہا ہے کربل کی کہانی کا، لوگوں یہ جنازہ ہے اسلام کے بانی کا، آغاز ہو رہا ہے کربل کی کہانی کا، آغاز ہو رہا ہے کربل کی کہانی کا، آغاز ہو رہا ہے کربل کی کہانی کا، روتے تھے فرشتے بھی سب زو سمالزا، روتے تھے فرشتے بھی سب زو سمالزا، تابوت اٹھ رہا ہے عمران کے جانی کا، لوگوں یہ جنازہ ہے اسلام کے بانی کا، آغاز ہو رہا ہے کربل کی کہانی کا، آغاز ہو رہا ہے کربل کی کہانی کا،
اے فجر رک جا آئی زینب کی صدا، اے فجر رک جا آئی زینب کی صدا،
اے فجر رک جا آئی زینب کی صدا، اے فجر رک جا آئی زینب کی صدا،
اے فجر رک جا آئی زینب کی صدا، اے فجر رک جا آئی زینب کی صدا،
اے فجر رک جا آئی زینب کی صدا، اے فجر رک جا آئی زینب کی صدا،
اے فجر رک جا آئی زینب کی صدا، اے فجر رک جا آئی زینب کی صدا،
اے فجر رک جا آئی زینب کی صدا، اے فجر رک جا آئی زینب کی صدا،
اے فجر رک جا آئی زینب کی صدا، اے فجر رک جا آئی زینب کی صدا،
اے فجر رک جا آئی زینب کی صدا، اے فجر رک جا آئی زینب کی صدا،
تیرے دامن میں چھپی ہے، تیرے دامن میں چھپی ہے میرے بابا کی قضا، اے فجر رک جا آئی زینب کی صدا،
اے فجر رک جا آئی زینب کی صدا، اے فجر رک جا آئی زینب کی صدا،
تیرے دامن میں چھپی ہے، تیرے دامن میں چھپی ہے میرے بابا کی قضا، اے فجر رک جا آئی زینب کی صدا،
اے فجر رک جا آئی زینب کی صدا، اے فجر رک جا آئی زینب کی صدا،
تجھ سے تعبیر جڑی ہے جو خواب دیکھا ہے، تجھ سے تعبیر جڑی ہے جو خواب دیکھا ہے، خون میں ڈوبی ہے دیکھی، خون میں ڈوبی ہے دیکھی میں نے اماں کی ردا، اے فجر رک جا آئی زینب کی صدا،
اے فجر رک جا آئی زینب کی صدا، اے فجر رک جا آئی زینب کی صدا،
تجھ سے تعبیر جڑی ہے جو خواب دیکھا ہے، تجھ سے تعبیر جڑی ہے جو خواب دیکھا ہے، خون میں ڈوبی ہے دیکھی، خون میں ڈوبی ہے دیکھی میں نے اماں کی ردا، اے فجر رک جا آئی زینب کی صدا،
اے فجر رک جا آئی زینب کی صدا، اے فجر رک جا آئی زینب کی صدا،
تیرے دامن میں چھپی ہے، تیرے دامن میں چھپی ہے میرے بابا کی قضا، اے فجر رک جا آئی زینب کی صدا،
اے فجر رک جا آئی زینب کی صدا، اے فجر رک جا آئی زینب کی صدا،
آج رک جا اے فجر تو پھر آئیو کربل، آج رک جا اے فجر تو پھر آئیو کربل، میں تجھے پال کے دوں گی، میں تجھے پال کے دوں گی ہے جواں اکبر سا، اے فجر رک جا آئی زینب کی صدا،
اے فجر رک جا آئی زینب کی صدا، اے فجر رک جا آئی زینب کی صدا،
آج رک جا اے فجر تو پھر آئیو کربل، آج رک جا اے فجر تو پھر آئیو کربل، میں تجھے پال کے دوں گی، میں تجھے پال کے دوں گی ہے جواں اکبر سا، اے فجر رک جا آئی زینب کی صدا،
اے فجر رک جا آئی زینب کی صدا، اے فجر رک جا آئی زینب کی صدا،
تیرے دامن میں چھپی ہے، تیرے دامن میں چھپی ہے میرے بابا کی قضا، اے فجر رک جا آئی زینب کی صدا،
اے فجر رک جا آئی زینب کی صدا، اے فجر رک جا آئی زینب کی صدا،
ضرب بابا کو جو دینی ہے مجھ کو دے دینا، ضرب بابا کو جو دینی ہے مجھ کو دے دینا، شام بازار میں ہوگا، شام بازار میں ہوگا جب کھلا سر میرا، اے فجر رک جا آئی زینب کی صدا،
اے فجر رک جا آئی زینب کی صدا، اے فجر
فجر رک جا آئی زینب کی صدا
اے فجر رک
جا آئی زینب کی صدا
ضرب بابا کو جو دینی ہے مجھ کو دے دینا ضرب بابا کو جو دینی ہے مجھ کو دے دینا شام بازار میں ہوگا شام بازار میں ہوگا جب کھلا سے میرا اے فجر رک جا آئی زینب کی صدا
اے فجر رک جا آئی زینب کی صدا اے فجر رک جا آئی زینب کی صدا
تیرے دامن میں چھپی ہے تیرے دامن میں چھپی ہے میرے بابا کی قضا اے فجر رک جا اے فجر رک جا
آئی زینب کی صدا اے فجر رک جا آئی زینب کی صدا
اور بھی سجدوں میں سر ہے اے تیغ دیکھ ذرا اور بھی سجدوں میں سر ہے اے تیغ دیکھ ذرا کیا تجھے سجدے میں میرا کیا تجھے سجدے میں میرا ہائے بابا ہی ملا اے فجر رک جا آئی زینب کی صدا
اے فجر رک جا آئی زینب کی صدا
اے فجر رک جا آئی
زینب کی صدا
تیرے دامن میں چھپی ہے تیرے دامن میں چھپی ہے میرے بابا کی قضا اے فجر رک جا آخری بند آئی زینب کی صدا
اے فجر رک جا آئی زینب کی صدا
آج رک جائے فجر تو پھر آئیو کربل آج رک جائے فجر تو پھر آئیو کربل میں تجھے پال کے دوں گی میں تجھے پال کے دوں گی ہے جوان اکبر سا یا علی
صلی اللہ محمد